Let's talk about representing functions. We're going to go over some examples of the lesson that I talked about earlier. So let's start with number 1. We want to determine whether or not this is a function. It's in a form of a table, so we just have to check if there are any x values that are repeated. And you can see immediately that 2 is repeated. It's on here twice. Therefore, this is not a function. Number 2, we have to do the same thing, but now we have a graph. So we can check and make sure every point has a unique x-coordinate. That way we know whether or not this relation is a function. And indeed it is, because no points share the same x-coordinate. So that is a yes. For number 3, we have a map. And for a map, all we have to do is make sure that for every item in the domain, there's only one arrow coming from it. And this satisfies that. So this is a function. For number 4, we have a set of ordered pairs.
To check whether or not this relation is a function, we look at the x values and determine if any of them are repeated.
And we can see immediately that 1 is on here twice. Therefore, this is not a function. For x equals 3, we can check this. Let's start by drawing a table. And x is always going to be 3. That's what this is saying. But y can be whatever. Immediately, you know this is not a function, because 3 is on here multiple times as an x-coordinate. 3 times, in fact, with what I've drawn here. But it could really be infinite. Therefore, this is not a function. For number 6, we can do the same thing. If we draw the table, and we have that the y value is always 2. The x value can be whatever. Notice that there are no repeated x values. Therefore, this is a function. In fact, this is the example used in my lesson where we had the domain and range map. And all of the arrows from the domain for every item were pointing to only one item in the range.
For number 7, we're given a function, and we need to find 3 times f of 2x minus 7. The first thing we can do is we can write down this function, but replace everywhere we start with x with 2x. So let's start. F of 2x is equal to 2x squared minus 2x plus 2. Because 2x squared is 2 squared times x squared, it can be written as 4x squared minus 2x plus 2. Now we take 3 times all of this and subtract 7. So 4x squared minus 2x plus 2 times 3 is 12x squared minus 6x plus 6. So we did 3 times that, and now we subtract 7. And finally we get the answer 12x squared minus 6x minus 1.
Number 8 asks how far an object will fall in a given amount of time. And you know this equation, h equals minus 16t squared, which relates height of how far an object falls to the time that it falls for. And this is in feet, where time is in seconds. So, let's start by writing this as a function of time, t. So f of t is minus 16 t squared. The question is just asking us to find this function evaluated at 1, 2, and 10. So f of 1 is minus 16 times 1 squared, which is just minus 16 feet. F of 2 is minus 16 times 2 squared, which is minus 16 times 4, or minus 64 feet. F of 10 is minus 16 times 10 squared, which is minus 16 times 100, or minus 1600 feet.